Hi, Monica. Thank you so much for joining us today. We will get started nice and fast into your get to know you video. Our first question today for you is, could you please tell us more about who you are and your personal touching story?
Yeah. So my name is Monica Alexander. I'm an authenticity and embodiment coach, which means that I guide high performing men and women through big transitions in their lives back to themselves, helping them create lives on their terms, their version of what an authentic life looks like. And the reason that my personal story is so connected to that is the fact that I myself went through a huge period of burnout. I was working in a corporate career. More specifically, I was working in a television industry here in Los Angeles. And I was in that career for some time, knowing that the truth of who I was not in alignment with that career. And over the course of 9 years, I severely burned out. That looks like that looked like hives, panic attacks, um, numbing with alcohol and other substances. And things really came to a head when I was forced to take a 7 month sabbatical from work because my body just gave out all of the chronic health issues that you can think of physically, emotionally, brain fog, insomnia, work nightmares, all the things, all in combination really led to just like a point at which my body could just no longer go on. And so I had to shut down fully. And in that period, I was able to come home to myself, changing my diet, working with various coaches myself, coming home to what my passions were, my creative pursuits, and allowing myself for the first time in years to really pursue those things. And over the course of that time, emotions that I didn't even know that I could feel because I hadn't felt them in so long really started to flood back in. And so I really saw that who I truly was had just been swept under the rug for so long that when I met her again in that period, it was really like meeting her for the first time. And so that is the work that I do now with my clients, and it's such rewarding work to do.
Thank you so much for sharing that story with us. I resonate a lot with
Thank you.
burnout because it happens to me all the time.
Doesn't it happen to us all?
Yeah, but all the time. So I totally get it. Now you mentioned a little bit that this story is what led to you going to get training. And that brings us to
Mhm.
our next question is if you could please share a little bit about your educational and training background.
Yeah, so I am a certified traditional life coach, and then I am trained in, cognitive behavioral therapy and various tools for life coaching. I'm also a CBT specific accredited practitioner, but on top of that, I am a certified intuitive and transformational life coach. A lot of the work that I do is guiding my clients back to themselves through helping them, really tap back into their intuition, their internal guidance system, because that has also been a huge part of my journey. And you have to know who you are and what you desire and what is in alignment for you to move towards what is. And so a lot of the work that I do is helping my clients come back to that part of themselves. And then in doing so, create space for them to move towards the life that they do desire. In addition to that, I've also informed in various somatic techniques like breath work. I also hold embodiment workshops for women to come back into their bodies through movement and intuitive dance. And so there's a combination of talk therapy as well as somatic work.
Great. Thank you so much for discussing that and telling us a little bit about that training and education.
Of course.
Now we're going to move on to the next question, which I think is the most interesting. And that is what makes you unique that sets you apart from the rest?
Yeah, I think there's a few things. I think one, a lot of my clients come to me because I understand exactly where they are at in terms of one, either coming from the entertainment industry. A lot of people come to me that are in that industry and they're really at a head in their lives and they want to make a big transition. And they've seen that I've made the big transition from a 9-year career to cold turkey jumping, leaving that career, and then starting a business and creating a life on my own terms, which is not something that many people can say that they can do. So I believe that sets me apart. On top of that, because did go through such a specific period of burnout, and I have guided various people in the entertainment industry and outside through periods of burnout. On the other end of burnout, help them understand what it even means to be burned out, because some people don't know that they are burned out, quite frankly. That also sets me apart. But beyond that, the way that my coaching style is, like, I get right to the heart of things without the fluff. I'm gentle, but my coaching is very penetrating and provoking. And at the same time, I just bring like a lightness to everything that I do. Like, I'm very I'm always smiling. I bring a levity because I bring, the fact that I know that the healing work is already hard, right? We all know that. They say it's the hard work for a reason. It's also important to know that healing can be fun. And part of who I am and my authenticity is just like bringing that fun to everything that I do. And so, and by showing up as myself authentically, I'm also giving them the safe space to show up as theirs. So I believe that, those are the biggest things that really set me apart.
I love that you talked about fun and healing can be fun because most people don't see
Yes,
it
we
that
can
way.
dance it out. Listen, I dance out in some of my sessions with clients. Like, let's get into your body and just like release it. Let's, even if maybe we twerk a little bit, releasing and shaking is so healing. And
Mhm.
yeah, healing doesn't have to be all just heavy.
Yeah, it's great to put that in perspective though, because most people don't see it that way. Okay, well, now that we're on the topic of healing, the next question is, what are the most common conditions you experience from your clients?
Yeah, I mean, as I've mentioned, burnout. Burnout is huge. That's usually the biggest one. They come to me, and burnout can look different for everyone. But burnout is generally not just about work. It's an accumulation of not living in alignment with who you are, not speaking your truth, not having boundaries, not not operating in a career or relationship that is actually what you desire, and little self betrayals over time that lead to resentment and to making yourself smaller and smaller. And eventually that sense of just like, I can't do this anymore. Like, my body's just giving out, or my mind or my emotions. And these things all are burnout. So burnout is the biggest one. They're generally at a space where they're ready to make a big transition in their life. And so that can often look like they're really ideating on careers beyond the one that they're in, or just a life outside of their career. A lot of them come and they've never allowed themselves to pursue their like creative passions. And they're just like, you know what? Like, I want to go play guitar. Like, I want to go tattoo. I want to just go travel for a year. And they've never actually allowed themselves to not have a job, to even take, more than a week off at a time. That's something that I hear often. And so they really just want to be in a place of rest and ease, which a lot of them have never experienced at the point that they come to me. And then beyond that, unfortunately, they say that at the point which you're ready to heal is usually the point at which something in your life has come to like a very intense head where you're like, I need to make a change. Like, I have an urgent desire now to make a change because I can't experience this anymore. And so often there are like harsh realities that they've faced in their life, whether it's, a passing of someone that they love, um, car accidents, health issues that they are experiencing. Yeah, I think that those are probably the biggest that I've heard, or the most common, I would say. And then all of them come with a lack of boundaries. And that is huge, because lack of boundaries in itself will lead to burnout. And a huge part of the work that I do is helping my clients understand, implement, stand firm in, and uphold their boundaries. And I also have firm boundaries myself, which is important because you lead by example. And so I'm always, always, always stressing the importance of boundaries for my clients. So I would say those are the most common.
Oh, that's amazing. Uh, I feel like you discussed boundaries, which is,
Mhm.
I think, a really important tip, which brings us to the next question, which is if you could share 3 tips or processes that you take your clients through.
Yeah, absolutely. So I do take them through exercises in terms of identifying what their various boundaries are. A lot of people don't know, and I didn't know when I first started the healing work and when I first started coach either, that there are many boundaries. There's physical boundaries, there's emotional boundaries, there's time boundaries, there's material boundaries. The list goes on, and it's really important to know what those different boundaries are for ourselves. And then there's also boundaries interpersonally and intrapersonally. So, we might have boundaries that we need to set with others, but we also have to have boundaries with ourselves so that we know what those boundaries are and so that we uphold them, because it's not just about the other person, right? It starts with ourselves. So that's some of the work that I do. I do a lot of emotions work because emotions are the pathway to our transformation. So we can't neglect those. So I both provide a safe and healing space for my clients to express their emotions, but I also give them various assignments. I do give homework in my coaching container, my one-on-one coaching container. That's my biggest offering, where I help them identify, what type of emotions come up for them, what that looks like, what type of things trigger those emotions. And then we work with the Junto Emotions Wheel, which I know a lot of people are familiar with, to help them identify what those emotions are. Because a lot of people, myself included, when I started this work, you know, I didn't really know how to identify some emotions. Like I would say things like, oh, yeah, like I'm so annoyed, and like there's an underlying emotion to being annoyed, right? It's you're not just annoyed, you're angry, right? You might have had a boundary that was crossed. You might feel resentful of someone. It's really important to have awareness around your emotions. And along with that, I do provide tools to help them process and move through those emotions when they come up. So something called a coping toolkit, which is essentially a toolkit that my clients have to pull from when triggering scenarios arise. And so one exercise is, I talk a lot about the importance of a rage practice, a healthy and safe space to express your anger. And pulling from that in moments when you feel really, really triggered and you might want to react in a way that's not productive. Pulling your rage practice from that coping toolkit is really healthy, and that's actually one that I exercise quite a bit myself. And then a few other tools like breath work, activating the parasympathetic nervous system, to just like help regulate them so they can take that into their days on their own, and be the agent in their own healing, as well as in our sessions, because a lot of emotions come up when we're moving through some of these things. And then the last one is one of my favorites that I just want to mention is self-forgiveness letters. Such a powerful one, because it's so important to hold space to release past version of ourselves and show compassion to those versions of ourselves, while also giving ourselves the opportunity to reframe some of those narratives that we've lived our life by, right? And gaining a different perspective in doing so. So, yeah, those are, I would say, the like among my favorite tools that I use with my clients.
I think those are all fantastic tools.
Thank
Um,
you.
the discussion about the rage was very, I think, very, very practical too, for sure.
Listen, ma'am, as someone who, I grew up watching my various, parental figures
Mm-hmm.
express rage in unhealthy ways. It was really important for me to learn how to express mine in a healthy way. because for much of my life, I expressed it in very unhealthy ways, and it was never productive ever.
Nope. Never. Yep, I
Your
can relate to that.
anger, your anger is powerful and it needs a safe space to release.
Hmm.
Mhm.
I love that tool. That was fantastic. Okay, but now we're gonna shift a little bit more towards the directory.
Yeah.
And the question I have for you is, what brought you to the directory, and why do you think it's making a difference, or how?
Yeah, absolutely. So a family connection brought me to the Miracles Directory. And I think it's making a difference because, one of the reasons that I was passionate about being on the directory is just the desire to serve more people, to really help more people heal. And I love that the directory provides a space for people to come and, have a wealth of resources to choose from in terms of healing. And, I tell my clients all the time, it's really important to find someone that you connect with, someone that you see yourself in. It's like finding, a therapist. If you have one therapist, they might be great at what they do, but if you don't feel personal connection to them, it's maybe they don't understand your cultural background or your experience as a woman, or maybe the industry that you work in. They may not be able to connect with you on a level that they can really dig deep with you, where you need to dig deep. And so I appreciate that the directory provides a variety of, healing practitioners and resources so that people can choose, from those and decide what works best for them. And then beyond that, I just, I so believe in the power of healing and raising consciousness, and building, and doing so, building more love and tolerance for one another and understanding. And I just believe that as a whole makes the world a better place.
Oh, wonderfully said. Thank you. Okay, well, that brings us to our very last question.
Mhm.
And that is, what is your commitment message to everyone?
Wow. Okay. My commitment message. I really wanted this one to come from the heart, so I didn't even, I didn't give it any thought prior to. My commitment message to everyone is that as your coach, as your guide, as your co-creator, and creating a life on your terms, I will hold a safe space for you to show up as your full self, to express all the emotions. I'll see you for who you are and meet you where you are, gently, lovingly, but also hold you with accountability, because you deserve someone who both sees you, who sees where you can go, and wants to help you get there. And I want to be that person.
Amazing. Well, that actually brings us right to the end of our get to know you interview video. Thank you so much for
Amazing.
your time, and I really enjoyed listening to you speak.
Thank you, beautiful. I appreciate you. Thank you for having me. And I look forward to meeting all the wonderful people that I get to connect with from this beautiful opportunity with Miracles Directory.